Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you again. My name is Dustin Cormier, and welcome to How to Rock Astrology. Today, we are going to be checking out a little bit about Mars in Taurus. Now, as you can see here, if you want to check out more of me, visit dustincormier.net, where I've got all sorts of fun things, including my new book, Solipsis Eclipse. If you want to know about me astrologically, this is a pretty good picture of it, at least the main three, Ascendant, Sun, and Moon. Of course, there's so much more to a chart than that, as well as a little bit of my Chinese astrology for those who might be interested. So, today we're going to be learning a bit about Mars in Taurus. If you want to see the first video, we talk a little bit about, in the intro to this series, I talk a little bit about what Mars means to your sexuality, what it means to the soul, and how the soul expression through sexuality is a key open door to the king, which is the sun, residing on the high roost of the soul and the spirit. Mars is kind of always like the general, the architect, the strategizer for expressing, it's the way that we express the nature of our sun. It's the way sexually that we hone and ground and deeply express whatever is intimated in as our sun in our chart. I'm a Vedic astrologer, but I'm a tropical Vedic one, so I go by Western measurements. If you'd like to know more about that, check out more of my stuff on my channel. But if you are a Westerner, I recommend that you continue watching. Wet your whistle a little bit, because we are dealing with the same science through a slightly different lens or philosophy. It's part of the reason why I'm doing these videos. It's talking a little bit about what the Westerners can learn from the Vedic perspective. But I'm rooted in Western, and that's where a lot of my knowledge of psychology and things comes from. So, Mars in Taurus is an interesting place. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and it is debilitated in Cancer. Mars in Taurus is it's getting to be pretty close to its debilitation point in Cancer. So there's a lot to be said about that sexually, as well as with regard to what Mars means as a total expression of yourself. When Mars gets closer to Cancer, in relationships, even like Mars in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, that whole area kind of gets clouded with a stomach-centered Mars impulse. This means that the Mars in this person sometimes has a harder time digesting what Mars is supposed to do, where Mars is supposed to live, its discipline is best expressed outside of itself through a field of study, or in relationships. It's always best for the Mars in anybody to express its discipline, its volition, its desire to possess, to own, to fight for its rights, objectively according to what is best for the relationship, and not just to do it out of a selfish desire to wrench its own power in the relationship. We have to do a little bit of that in relationships. There's always a little bit of a funny combativeness. But the closer Mars is to Capricorn, the more that this combativeness is like expressed with logic and is controllable. Mars being close to Cancer here means it's less it's coming from like unconscious. It's erratic, and it's harder to use it constructively for the relationship's sake. So Mars in Taurus here is in a sign ruled by Venus. Venus in the Vedic sense is neutral to Mars. It's not an enemy, but it's also not a friend. Mars does best with, like, in signs ruled by itself, Mars, signs ruled by Jupiter, and signs ruled by the Sun. With Venus, it's neutral, so it's not too crazy bad. And if Venus is close to this Mars, then it will be even better. Mars will be in tune with what Venus wants. And this Mars in Taurus person really grips at what it wants in a relationship. It's very willful about grounding values in a relationship, the Taurus things, the instinct for self to grasp, to get a grip on life, really comes from, in this position, the resources, the immediate resources, and people close to them, people who share the same values. Mars and Taurus can be a bit pushy with these people and can really try to possess them. This is a possessive position for Mars, for sure. So that's kind of a for better or worse thing. Some people might think that's cute, the sort of like possessiveness. These people don't necessarily need to be monogamous per se, because nothing in astrology can outline whether you're monogamous or not. But these people have a tendency to really deeply want to have a say in their relationship, and to have a say with, what does our relationship mean? What are we doing here? What are we doing tomorrow? They like to schedule things and try to see, like, if their lover, will go with what the Taurus tries to delineate in the relationship. It's aggressive willfulness towards Venusian things, shall we say. So, with regards to sensuality, it can be a very sensual. This is a Mars that likes a low gear. It's kind of like a cannonball. You start to push it, and it slowly moves, and it's like hard to move it. It's hard to get it going. These aren't the quickie types usually, unless the sun and other things are posited for that. This is the type of person who, maybe they can do the quickie thing, but what they usually prefer is a long, sensual build-up of attention and affection that boils over into this like ecstatic but long enduring cream of the crop. They like to really get at that cream, shall we say. No runny milk lovemaking for these people. So today we're going to read about Mars and Taurus through this book, Erotic Astrology, The Sex Secrets of Your Horoscope Revealed by Phyllis Vega. And then we're going to talk about how the sun changes and alters the Mars and Taurus, and vice versa, in the sun's 12 different 12 signs. Mars, the planet of energy, is not very active in Taurus, and your physical drive is often reduced to a low gear. On a general note, these people can be lazy, where Mars is meant to go out, Taurus wants to attract, and Taurus likes to be, what's the word? Not lazy, but, something like that. More comfortable than aggressively, ambitiously, all the time going for what it wants. Taurus can endure in getting what it wants, but it likes to feel like it's comfortable doing it the whole time. When they are comfortable, they can do great things. This person's Mars will make themselves feel very comfortable, and with that, they can do great things. What you lack in aggressiveness and mobility, you make up for with outstanding endurance. When you finally get rolling in one direction, it's virtually impossible to get you to change course. Naturally patient and persistent, you simply wait for however long it takes. Mars in Taurus is inherently possessive with a strong sense of ownership. Once you've gained your prize, no one is going to be allowed to take it away from you. Above all, you need stability and security in your love life. When you find it, you do make a loyal and devoted romantic partner. Mars in Taurus denotes a lot of practical and emotional energy. This is a person who really wants to cinch in with somebody and, weirdly enough, express a lot of their energy, their angst. This is the type of person who wants a long run go of their ambitions in life, depending on what Mars means to the ascendant. If Scorpio rules, I'm a Leo rising, and Scorpio rules my 4th house, and Aries rules my 9th house, if you understand what that means. So Mars, to me, is like a house, a feeling of domestication in the 4th house, as well as adventure and my role in society at the 9th house. So if I had Mars in Taurus, I would go at these things in a long, enduring, and patient way. And it's this patience and endurance and feeling of comfort, feeling like this is the direction that I want to go in, is what drives the ambition of this Mars. And this type of Mars tends to really want to connect with somebody in a relationship and even get out some tension through the relationship in some way. Could be sexual tension, could be a jealousy thing that they just try to tell their lover, I love only you, and it's they want to just get something out with their lover. If their Venus and Moon are well placed, then it won't come out in a negative way. Then this tension will be shared and ventilated in a positive direction with the help of the lover in the relationship. But in any case, no matter what, this is a person who desires security in order that they can be a bit grumbly with their lover sometimes, but they don't really want to hit their lover with it. They're more going to talk about the world and grumble about the world and hope that their lover's oh, it's all right, darling. We're going to get through this, and I'm going to be here comfortable with you, and I'm going to help you to do this long, enduring, ambitious thing that you want to do. Mars in Taurus likes that kind of commitment. So Mars in Taurus denotes a lot of practical and emotional energy. However, the physical side of life can be rather flat. An interest in the intellectual side may also be restrained. Too much intellectual rapid-fire thinking is not these people's bag, typically. Mars relates to these volitional things, mind, and Aries rules the head. These people like to have a combative, Mars at its best likes to have a combative sort of alertness, and the Mars and Taurus person is sort of just not really that interested in that. Mars in Taurus also shows a lack of flexibility. Taurus is a fixed sign, and Mars energies, normally expressed as anger, can come out looking like stubbornness. Emotions that are held too tightly may later be released in a major blow-up. Sexually, Mars in Taurus is hedonistic and sensual. High on your life's list of priorities is satisfying the physical, sensual desires. Your approach to sexuality is laid back and uncomplicated, without much fantasy or fetish, and it's almost never rushed. Moreover, your sensuality is about more than just sex. It extends to all 5 senses. You respond sensuously to beauty in your surroundings, people, nature, and the arts. And it engages you at a Mars level, at a great level of appreciation, really. So this Mars in Taurus nature is what is going to be the general, the strategizer, the bridge to expressing whatever the nature of your sun is, depending on what the nature of your sun is. And there are many different types of suns. So let's start hacking at them, shall we? As soon as I get my things that I need. I brought up this like little vitamin C packet. There it is. Okay, folks. So first up on our list, we have the Sun in Aries with Mars in Taurus. This is a great place for the Sun. The Sun in Aries here, in fact, has so much lively ambition. The Sun is exalted in Aries. So this person has vitality. And this vitality is driven by a sense of purpose in life. Sorry. Vitamin C. So the Sun in this person has volition. It has energy. And they're going to express it. I mean, this is interesting because Mars is in the second house from the Sun, and it's in the second sign from Aries. So there's a bit of a double second house vibe with regards to Mars here and the Sun. Mars in Taurus probably gets the Sun in Aries' noble ambitions. Sun in Aries just wants to like go for what it wants to go for in life. Sorry, but I'm gonna do it. And it's like it can be, even Sun in Aries can be stubborn in a funny way. This Mars in Taurus comes out even more stubborn. It generally will help the Sun. It has to. Mars, that's what Mars is for. Mars is for expressing whatever the king wants. The general has to have its own tactile knowing of its own nature, of its army. The general knows its army, just like Mars knows its own body, its own limits, its own needs. And the king here is running for what's best for the kingdom, best for the whole, all the resources that the person has. So it can be very ambitious, very driven. It can get through, it can endure a lot. The Mars in Taurus has a sort of long-going energy here, and probably these people love to get an endurance battle happening in whatever they can, whether that's with sex or with who can eat the most hot dogs in like a sitting or something like that. Sun in Aries, Mars in Taurus. You have tremendous energy and great physical endurance, but you still can't be rushed or hurried. A slow, steady seduction ignites your powerful sex drive and your earthy sensuality. These people, the Aries loves some kind of chase, and the Taurus loves to slowly woo it and seduce it to where, up to a boil, shall we say. In bed, you like touching and being touched, and initiating shared physical pleasures. However, your sensuality extends beyond the bedroom to other life areas. Your delight in the senses is particularly noticeable in the kitchen, where preparing a romantic meal or playfully feeding your partner serves as erotic foreplay. Turned on by the beauty of nature, you enjoy making passionate love outdoors. This is someone for whom the Sun really wants to get the best out of their sexual encounters. And so does Taurus. Like, the Taurus here lives for that sensuality. So, foreplay, all that erotic foreplay can really help to build a space for the Aries to be impulsive. Like the Aries just likes to have these, the sun in Aries likes to have these, like, let's go on an adventure. Let's go and do this thing and go to a picnic. And the Mars and Taurus is building up and building up all these different, like, sexual things. And then, like, the sun in Aries is behind it, just like, so, like, how you feeling? Is that wine getting to you yet? Feel like going to the bushes for a quick one? Or not a quick one. Probably not a quick one. Like we said. Sun in Taurus, Mars in Taurus. Now the sun here is in Taurus now. Still very close to Aries. Still very close to its exaltation, which is Aries. So there is vitality here. Even though Mars in Taurus isn't the most vital in the world, there's still good vitality coming from the sun. A drive, a desire to experience the sensuality of life. Sun and Mars are conjunct here, or not necessarily conjunct, but they're definitely, even if they're not conjunct and combust, they're still in the same sign. If the sun does combust Mars, then there's probably a crazy sexual drive here that's almost too much. Almost a drive for sensuality that is just like nonsensical, like blah, like a Roger Rabbit cartoony sort of like the wolf pounding on the table, like ow, like doing that crazy need for some kind of sexual release. And the sun here will make Mars combust. It's like a pressure to perform that can actually frustrate the Mars energy even more. But if they're not completely that close, if they're just combust, they're still associated together in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus. There's a deep sensuality here that wants to be awakened, a romantic side that can come out for sure. In an intimate union, you, Sun in Taurus, Mars in Taurus, you are sensual, passionate, caring, and generous. Good sex ranks high on your list of life's priorities, and your approach to lovemaking is tactile and erotic. Physical intimacy literally energizes your body and nourishes your inner being. And you want to do it. That's like the sun. The sun is energized by this physical touching and slow caressing and food and all the senses. And the Mars in Taurus actually loves to slowly feel like, oh, I can't wait for the next little fucking session. Look, the Mars in Taurus likes to be tantalized. Can't wait for the next one kind of thing. Although you enjoy experimenting with a variety of sexual positions and techniques, you find the warmth of close contact and shared affection most satisfying. It's like the sun in Taurus here is really expanding on the different angles, the different sort of moods and atmospheres, but all that is just a bowl for the almost vanilla closeness and intimate affection and that kind of getting it on. Most of the time, you're relaxed and full of fun, but sometimes can be jealous and demanding. Probably because the sun and Mars being associated in the same sign, and both of them being in Taurus, which can be this sort of like this kind of bratty, stubborn, knowing what it wants for its own sake type of consciousness. And again, anything can be looked at as good or bad depending on the people perceiving you. But even if your lover loves you for that jealousy and possessiveness, you should still take care to consider that anything like that can go squirrely, especially with the sun and Mars being in the same sign. Sun in Gemini, Mars in Taurus. So the sun here is still like, the warmest spots for the sun are like Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. And that's because they're very close to the exaltation point of the sun, that being Aries. Here the sun is, well, it's in Gemini. Gemini is Mercury, which rules Gemini, is a good friend to the sun. So the sun here still has energy, still has virility, and it's got like Mercury, which rules Gemini, is good friends with Venus, who rules Taurus, where the Mars is here. So with Sun in Gemini, Mars in Taurus, we have somebody who wants like a long familiarity. The Mars wants to get a feel of the impulses of the partner and wants to feel like their reactions, their natural thoughts, their spontaneous actions make the partner grit their teeth with like a kind of like subtle sexual psychic erotic interplay. And the Gemini here sees how it can play creatively and wittily on what the Mars and Taurus has learned about the partner. Because the Mars and Taurus is always going to learn a lot about what their partner likes and wants, their aesthetics, their favorite colors, that kind of cheesy stuff that Venus is kind of all about. The Mars and Taurus gets a feel for that, and then the Sun in Gemini just needs to know where they can put the lighter to get them to go, oop, wow, whoa, put the lighter under their feet and kind of get the person dancing in a tantalizing way. Sun in Gemini wants to be appreciated for that tantalizing wittiness and spontaneity and funkiness. So Sun in Gemini, Mars in Taurus. Your Mars in Taurus combination makes you more touchy-feely than other twins, and more likely to enjoy foreplay that includes protracted periods of kissing and stroking. A sophisticated lover, you know how to tantalize your mate with an elegant courtship that builds slowly toward a peak of pleasure. In the bedroom, you like to feel that you're the center of your lover's world, and you delight in knowing that he or she is turned on by you in an aesthetic way. Both sensuous and curious, you're eager to explore new ways to prolong and heighten the shared ecstasy. Especially with the Mars in Taurus wanting to make it more deeper, juicier, longer. The Sun in Gemini is just interested in discovering through experience. Like, we haven't tried this yet, baby. Like, what do you think about that? Does that turn you on? And they're just like listening to everything that the lover says. So next we have Sun in Cancer, Mars in Taurus. The Sun now is a square away from its exaltation point. And the Mars in this person has to deal with the Sun, with Cancer, where Mars is actually debilitated. So Mars and Cancer, Taurus and Cancer are at least sextile to each other. So it is good that that sextile is happening. But the Mars in Taurus, being ruled by Venus, might actually, like, in a way, the moon tends to starve Venus. So the Sun in Cancer is very emotional, very kind of needy, needs a deep affection. And the Sun in Cancer, if I said that right, that's what I mean. The Sun in Cancer needs deep affection, anything related to Cancer. The king, is actually looking to be fueled by its affections in order to go towards what it wants to do for the whole self. And Cancer has a proclivity to be self-sufficient and self-enduring. They want to learn how to do that for themselves. And the Mars and Taurus, being so driven to be in a relationship, this has this sort of funny thing of like, the Mars and Taurus wants to develop a deep closeness with the partner, knowing what they're all about, knowing what their desires are, and knowing how the Sun in Cancer can nurture. It wants to be loved for its nurturing qualities, for its imaginative qualities, for its hardworking, adaptive qualities, and for the lover to always constantly be referring their affection back to them. You know, they go and do their job, their enterprise, whatever it is. Sun in Cancer can be very crafty and entrepreneurial and what have you. And the Mars here in Taurus uses its love and its relationships, its family, its values, its resources close at hand to propel them further in whatever it is that they want to do. And they love a lover that encourages them in whatever they're doing. Sun in Cancer, Mars in Taurus. Sensitive and deeply emotional. You respond intuitively to other people's needs and desires. You're more likely to be moved by another person's actions than by his or her words, and you long for a calm, stable home life and the closeness of a committed union. The Cancer in this person wants to learn, loves to adapt to things and to people and to the lover. Lots of femme energy here, even for a man. But that doesn't mean that you have to. I would recommend that you read that, and whatever your orientation is, take it towards it unapologetically. You can still have all these qualities and still be a man, still be a person who's masculine and who has all the qualities of a man. But you shouldn't shy away from your ability to listen to your lover. Take it as a positive quality, obviously, if that is a part of you. A passionate lover. You revel in the sensual pleasures of lovemaking. You take great joy in lavishing love and affection on your partner, and you expect the same consideration in return. Emotional bonding is as important to you as physical union, and you want to know that you and your partner are on the same page as far as your relationship is concerned. It's like you need to know the best place for this type of Sun and Cancer person, this type of Mars and Taurus person, is a constant reiteration of like, where are we going with our relationship? What does it mean really? And there's a deep friendship vibe here and emotional bonding. They like to be close and sentimental with whoever they get with all that Moon and Venus energy. It's less driven by martial Sun or Mars impulses. It's more about it gets the Sun ambition, which is a masculine thing. It gets the Mars drivenness and energy and drivenness and willfulness through relationships, through knowing that they are relating to somebody back home who sexes them up and who loves them and who has a mutual affection for each other. It's the kind of thing that gets these people off more than anything, I think. Next we have Sun in Leo, Mars in Taurus. Now, this is a funny square going on, which can be frustrating, possibly, although generally not too bad. Here, Mars is Taurus. Mars is actually hitting the Sun with Mars's fourth house aspect. In Vedic astrology, that's Mars's strongest aspect, more than the trine, more than the square. Well, this is a square. But when the Sun is 4 places from Mars, Mars is really hitting the sun. But this is a good thing because Mars, this is considered a good aspect in Vedic. Even though the square looks bad to Westerners, in Vedic, it's a positive aspect because Mars and the sun are good friends. So, the sun in Leo is the most powerful and prominent energy for the sun. It's not as good and clean as Aries. The sun is actually coming closer to Libra now. But in Leo, in its own sign, there's some good here, obviously, because the sun is in its own domain. The king of the country says, I'm the king of the country, which can be a bit egotistical, can be a little bit stubborn. The ego is a prominent part of the consciousness and the vitality of the person. So having Mars and Taurus here, as I'm sure we're going to read, there's definitely a passion to be loved. There's possibly jealousy things that can really happen here. The sun in Leo has an ego, and the Mars here, being in Taurus, is like, it's like the general is trying to do what the king wants through relationships, through the people close to it. And so the Mars here has a deep sense that its relationships are very important, and so it's going to be picky about them. And it might also even be like a dominating personality. Even though Mars in Taurus is a femme expression of Mars in a lot of ways, there's still going to be a stubbornness in a womanly strong way, if that makes sense, where women can be stubborn in the Taurus sense that we know. Taurus being a feminine sign ruled by Venus. It's stubborn, it knows what it wants, and it will push. If one relationship doesn't give it what it wants, then it's just going to push through it and just find one that eventually does get there, and it will attract it. Then the person, whoever they end up with, has to deal with that energy of it being so comfortable for the Leo with Mars and Taurus that anything that they try to do to mess up or deal with that, with the thing that brought the Leo to the partnership, might frustrate the Leo, because it's not my thing. This isn't the person I fell in love with. But this person, if they do fall in love and they find a connection through fire or through earth, through these two things, the Leo can be very loyal, and so can this Mars in Taurus, especially if there's a sensual connection through the Mars. Sun in Leo, Mars in Taurus. A genuine romantic. You tend to view courtship as an ongoing ritual, and you can be quite lavish in expressing your feelings. Your sexual approach is a combination of solar Leo's fiery passion with Mars and Taurus's languid sensuality. More than willing to pamper and indulge your partner, you also expect to be catered to and admired in return. You view lovemaking as a carnival of the senses, and you would view your bedroom as an intimate stage for erotic enjoyment. When you're in the mood for love, you pursue the object of your affection with leonine intensity. If a relationship turns sour, you are devastated, but you aren't likely to remain alone for long with this particular position of Mars. Because the Mars in Taurus likes to, the Mars, the muscular volition, the motion of the person, gets what the person's deepest soul desires are through relationships, through Taurus, through people, through resourcefulness, through other minds. familiarity with Taurus. Familiar minds, familiar people, people that they've known for a while. So these people like to get something going with somebody. Next, we have Sun in Virgo, Mars in Taurus. This is an interesting one because there is a trine here. The Sun is in trine with Mars, and Mars is aspecting the Sun. So the Sun is definitely also, this is a mutual aspect here, a mutual trine aspect, obviously. So with the Sun in Virgo, Virgo is not the best place for the Sun because it's very close to Libra, its debilitation point. But Mercury is a good friend to the Sun. I feel like I should just absolutely be sure of that. Sometimes I just like to check. Sun's friends, Moon, Mars, Jupiter. Okay, so Mercury is neutral to the Sun. So, in any case, Mercury is not an enemy. The Sun does okay with the nature of Mercury, but here it's very close to Libra. So, the Sun has the capacity to kind of not consider itself as the hot item. With anyone with Sun in Virgo, there's a sort of submissive, brought down, quieted, less egotistical energy, although it can be egotistical because it's close to Leo. This energy kind of tends to go for ambition regarding material gains and spiritual gains, but that can be measured and seen. They really hope that they can find something in life that is going to secure a constant feeling of building up, like the Sun tends to do, like a radiating constant building up. And whenever they try to build something, if it falters, then they can get frustrated. Whereas like Sun in Aries is just like, I don't care if it builds up, I know it's gonna go. And because of that, that's a good thing for the Sun, for the king to do. Let's do what we have to do, what's best for the country. The Sun in Virgo says, let's do what's best for my company. The king here is saying, it's not about what's best for the cosmic kingdom of the soul. It's not about what's best for me always. Sometimes it's best for what's my relationship is about or my company is about. So the Sun in Virgo might attract people who have the same communication. It's necessary for them to communicate, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Here with Mars in Taurus, there's a trine happening because the Mars in Taurus wants to know a lot about people, wants to know a lot about their partner, and wants to find a partner who's a real good catch for them, for the sensuality that they love, for the enjoyment of the senses and all these things that they love. So for this particular person, it's probably good to find somebody who also has some earth in them, and who can be comfortable with this sort of being a part of this person's ambition. Because this person is probably ambitious and is sentimental and deeply loving and romantic in the way that Taurus and Virgo can be. It's just not as hard-driven, fiery-driven as the Sun would prefer to typically be. As we can see, we can already read the first line here. This is Sun in Virgo, Moon in Taurus, Mars in Taurus. Sun in Virgo, Mars in Taurus. While some romantic partners may be more exciting, few are as dependable or trustworthy. This is a Virgo who, especially because of the Mars in Taurus, they just really want to show that, like, I might not always be the most kingly person. My parents didn't raise me to be an aggressive animal of a man with all that much strength with other people, but I will make sure to dedicate myself deeply to your affection and to making you feel happy and comfortable and trustworthy. These people will, the sun in Virgo wants to be dependable and to be able to work on things, to be crafty typically. And the Mars in Taurus uses its relationships again. Mars in Taurus uses its relationship to express the sun, which here wants to be useful in Virgo. Although otherwise practical and sensible, in the bedroom, your old-fashioned romanticism, earthy sensuality, and consideration for your partner make you an excellent lover. You enjoy touching and being touched, and your heightened sensory perception enhances the pleasure you share with your partner. It doesn't take a lot of frills to entice you, but you do appreciate the beauty of an elegantly appointed room. The environment, not from my ardent, passionate desire from within, but all the little details is what this person's looking for. A clean, pleasant atmosphere with fresh flowers, scented candles, and soft music playing in the background puts you in the mood for love. And that's a lovely thing. It's beautiful to see the sun and Mars expressed here in the earthy senses. You can paint such a delicious backdrop that just, when you're in bed and there's just the right mood, the lovely little bit of music playing, and there's rose petals on the bed, and if your lover comes to you with the ardent desire to constantly give you all these things, this is something that this person wants, but more than that, they want to give it. They want somebody who appreciates it. Like a Mars, like a watery person who's got a lot of water, who the water person will take in all these little things, and they'll know that it was the sun in Virgo, Mars in Taurus who thought of it. They'll see the whole ride of the intention. And that's what this sun in Virgo, Mars in Taurus person wants to be appreciated for. Now, sun in Libra, Mars in Taurus. Here, the sun is at its debilitation point. The sun is not good friends with Venus. And Mars is also in a Venus-ruled sign. So this can be frustrating for men, although it shouldn't be. You can still have these signs and still express your masculinity. But you should consider the fact that you can be a person who is into the aesthetic, who's rather reserved, who's more of like, this is like for a man, this is like a noble, genteel sort of personality, who wants to be loved for their refinement, for their aesthetic sense, for their conserve and control. Although the Mars in Taurus, like, this could be a vanilla personality that doesn't like too much like gross things, or like too much like heavy sexual, passionate, ardently driven things, like both of these placements are lacking in a bit of vitality per se. Sun is getting away from Leo and Aries now, so it's in Venus. Here it's languid, just like the Mars in Taurus is rather languid. So there's a desire in these people, as we're going to read, to like merge with somebody, to really even mirror what the other partner wants. The Mars in Taurus loves to constantly learn what the other person wants at an aesthetic level, at like a guttural, like what type of food they like, what type of color is their favorite color, what's their aesthetic, and they want to merge with their partner's aesthetic. and they want their partner to merge with their aesthetic. They want to put together a strong sense of their own vibe and tone in the house and in their clothing and everything. And they are looking for their partner to jive with that, which is a funny thing. The sun doesn't have its best energetic vitality expression in Libra, and the Mars in Taurus here can even be emotional, and it's got a gut, because Mars in Taurus is close to Cancer, its debilitation point. So both of the energies here can be coming from a weird place compared to the typical masculine archetype, which just comes out from inside and is just ardent and honest and blunt and just says what's on its mind, and then everybody can deal with that and there's no confusion of what's going on. Sun in Libra with Mars in Taurus is really going to be picky to find somebody who gets the massage, who gets them at an unconscious subliminal taste level. And they probably will find a partner like that because of this. And when they do, they'll really rein it in and do all these aesthetic things and do little romantic interludes. And these people can be very romantic and sentimental in this way. Sun in Libra, Mars in Taurus. The urge to merge is the main motivation for people with this combination. You're among the most sensual and sexually active members of your sun sign, Libra. And you possess a sixth sense regarding your partner's needs and desires. Since you crave beauty and order in your life, a harmonious environment puts you in the mood for love. The feeling like there's not really any tension between you, which might make you be blunt about, like, what's going on? Why are we not feeling the best? What's going on? Are you feeling okay? How's your job going? You know, like, they'll kind of come out with these sorts of things. But once, like, they'll dig to feel like that's all good and groovy and that they're loving each other and that they're right, that they're getting to be on track for this deliciousness, for this non-tension feeling of just absolute falling into each other. You revel in the carnival of the senses, created by sultry nightwear, luxurious bed linens, fresh flowers, scented candles, and soft music playing in the background. These are the kind of things that really gets this Libra with Mars and Taurus's motor running. And we know from Mars and Taurus that once they get that motor running, it'll be a long, possibly vanilla, you know, not all that crazy technical, but it'll be a delicious and affectionate and soul-encompassing go. Ideally, if the other partner gets ya. Now, this is Sun in Scorpio, Mars in Taurus. This is the Sun here is very close to its debilitation point still. You know, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. These are all signs that are very close to Libra, and that's not the strongest place for the Sun. Here the Sun is thinking not for itself, but the things outside of itself, the ways that it gets passion. In fact, the Sun here being in Scorpio really leans on wherever the Mars is in order for it to have its vitality. Mars is the general. The Sun here lives through the general because the Sun is in Scorpio. So the general of the army usually does what the king wants. But here the general and the king are kind of one in a sort of way. So the Sun in Scorpio lives for its connections. It lives for its partners very deeply. Lives for its like boss and its employer And whatever ambitious thing that it's driving towards, the sun is vitalized by it. And this includes its relationships of all sorts. It lives deeply through its sexuality as well. Now, to have Mars in Taurus is an interesting thing. Mars is also close to its debilitation point here. So there might be a lot of languid energy in this sign. This might be a person who's ardent, who has a lot of sexual energy, not always all that virile, or might not always have energy in the sun per se, but their relationships will really gear them. They'll put a lot of energy into their relationships, more than Scorpio even tends to want to give. But because the Mars is in Taurus, this Scorpio deeply desires to ground its energy, to get a grip on life through its relationships, through the resourceful people close to it, even family. And they will blend all of that family resourcefulness with a lover, or lovers if you're poly or what have you. It tends to be, with anyone with Mars and Taurus, is a long go relationship thing. They like to have long, enduring, committed relationships. Committed doesn't necessarily mean monogamous. I'm interested in polyamory lately. That's why I'm saying all this stuff. But I digress. You can have a deep sense of love with whoever you want to commit yourself to. Although these people can be monogamous. Scorpio is all-consuming. Mars and Taurus wants to have a long, familiar channel for its energy and its erotic energy. The more familiar, the longer they've known the person, the better. Sun in Scorpio, Mars in Taurus. Sexy and affectionate. You're made for grand passion. And when truly smitten, your normally cautious approach gives way to absolutely open seduction. You know exactly what to do to ignite the fires of love, and your ardor and intensity have a mesmerizing effect on all who fall under your spell. Casual affairs don't really turn you on, because you long to transcend the physical and delve deeply into your lover's soul. Sharing intimate pleasures and confidences with your lover refreshes your body, and literally it refreshes your body and renews your spirit. Once you get going, your amazing stamina keeps your bed partner satisfied all night long. Once you get going, this person might not always be in the mood. It might kind of be somewhat moody, but they will have those moments where it's time to do the thing. It's time to get it on. Now here we have Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Taurus. So as always, it's coming from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. So the Sun here is getting away from Libra, its debilitation point, which is good. It's friends with Sagittarius, which is also good. Although the Sun, once it gets close to Capricorn, it's also a dense sort of energy. Sun in Sagittarius is a good place for the Sun, though. Not a bad place. Again, it's still kind of close to Libra. It's sextile. And Libra is where it's debilitated. The Sun here is living for a sense of burgeoning philosophical updraft. It lives in its mind and in the cultural sphere. It's aware of gender. And this, because of the Mars in Taurus, this person will probably dig out the gender thing, pick its gender, and it's probably going to relate to their body. Mars in Taurus is not typically one to explore gender spectrums and stuff, although, again, no astrology figure can define that for you. But this person, whatever their gender figuration might be, I guess I should say, if you're a male and you identify as male, you're really probably going to stick to it with Mars and Taurus, especially with the Sag Sun being aware of what gender is and wanting to cinch one in order to get capable with it. If you're a man and you're a feminine personality, you're probably going to pick it and try to stick with it so you can learn. If that's what you feel you are, you're going to try to ground it so you can learn more about it and learn how you can relate best with a partner. If you're an androgynous, switch, non-binary personality, you're going to cinch on that and you're probably going to hold to it again so you can develop familiarity with it. Sagittarius is interested in all these things, and the Mars and Taurus will generally pick one. This personality probably reads into culture, into the other person's partner's culture. They're probably interested in an explorative and expansive state of mind of another person. But they want to get familiar with the one person who has all these explorative, expansive trademark capacities. You know, if the other person's ascendant is like a fire sign or possibly certain air signs, or if the sun of the other person is also fire. You know, these are the kind of things that can give the Sagittarius a little bit of fun and flightiness and impulsiveness while grounding through the Mars and Taurus's desire to know the person, to know what makes them tick and turns them on. Sun in Sagittarius, Moon in Taurus. Despite your desire to put down roots, you tend to become bored and restless when you stick too close to home. Once the Mars is the general that's doing what the king wants. And this king, being the sun, being in Sagittarius, kind of likes to revel and likes to explore and likes to go on long jaunts, long journeys from home. And the Mars here wants to ground that, likes to endure in that sort of thing. So you can get restless when you stick to home. Your ideal mate understands this restless side of your nature and will probably share your love of excitement and adventure. Because of your desire for companionship, again, as we've been saying in all these, with Mars and Taurus, the general aids the king. Mars in Taurus, it does this through its relationships. So relationships are what help the sun do its thing, because that's what Taurus is about. Relationships, shared values, resources, these kinds of things. So you do desire companionship. And because of this, you are quicker to commit to a long-term relationship than other solar archers and other Sagittarius people. You are highly sexed, and any gesture of physical contact with your lover is likely to spark your fire at a physical level, when any touch by them is Erotic touching energizes and incites your lusty libido. In bed, you respond amorously to the comfort and beauty of sumptuous surroundings and the tactile pleasures of silky, luxurious fabrics. Coming from that Taurus, Mars and Taurus vibe. They're probably ambitious to touch all the different things, to talk about all the different things and go all the different places, and to even have if they're a poet, maybe they'll talk about the sensual nature of whatever they're talking about, to really bring out the physical material of the subject at hand. Now, Sun in Capricorn, Mars in Taurus. Here we have another trine between Mars and the Sun. Here, Mars and Sun are in mutual trine. So this is good. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So there's something that you call a dispositor in astrology. The Sun has to express itself through Saturn, and the Mars here in Taurus has to express itself through Venus. And Saturn and Venus are good bedfellows. They get along very well. So the industrial, ambitious, refined nature of Sun in Capricorn will probably try to find a lover who's practical, who's ambitious, who is looking for the long term, very much so. Mars in Taurus wants the long term because Mars, who's the general to the Sun, the king, the general grounds the Sun's desires through what's familiar. This Mars learns about people deeply, and once they have learned, they love to be familiar with their lover. They like to be friends with them for a long time, because then they'll know their past, and they'll know how they've been healing themselves. And the Mars in Taurus, the engineering architect Mars, strategizer, will learn all these different ways of how to please their lover in a practical way, which is what the king wants. The king, the Sun in Capricorn, wants to feel practical, feel productive, feel useful. And that's something that this person, it's a two-way thing. They both are enriching each other because it's a trine. The Sun wants to feel practical and useful and to be appreciated for their slow, painstaking way of life, building a job, a grounded enterprise, getting skills that will help to take it far in life. It's that. And how it does that is through a Mars, which similarly enjoys familiarity in people. You know, Sun in Capricorn isn't always looking for familiarity in people in that way. The Mars here learns so much about the partners because they like to know them for a long time and really learn about them. The Mars in Taurus gets a sense of what the other person's likes are, or what their own likes are, and how they can communicate to the other person what their likes are in a practical way. It can be stubborn, it can be rather dry, because Mars here is getting close to Cancer, which is its debilitation point. It can be emotional beneath the veneer. But there is a trine factor here that helps the Sun in Capricorn to feel appreciated for what the Mars in Taurus knows about the partner. And what the Mars in Taurus learns about the partner and about each other. Sun in Capricorn, Mars in Taurus. Your feelings run deep, yet you prefer to keep them hidden until you're sure of your partner's intentions. Beneath your restraint, there's a smoldering sensuality, and you are an ardent, sexy lover in the privacy of the bedroom, where you like to be the one in charge. The intensity of your libido goes through cycles depending on your workload, as you refuse to let anything or anyone distract you from your goals. Something that your lover is going to have to deal with is that I know what I need to get where I want to go. Sun in Capricorn, with the stubbornness of Mars and Taurus, right? As much as they are learning about the other person, they also know what's best for themselves, and you're just going to have to deal with it. You're most happy with a life partner who understands your shifting moods and shares your interests and ideas. Because then they can cater to it, and actually, if they enjoy catering to it, it can be a strong thing. You know, like a Virgo ascendant can be really good for this type of personality. Mutable signs can be good because they can shift and jive to this person, the Capricorn, Taurus stubbornness, without losing their own tack, shall we say. Even somebody, this type of person, depending on all the other things in the chart, can get along with like anybody, but an adaptable person would be good. Even someone who's in their own, who's also stubborn in this way can be good for them. They just got to make it work, communicate, and delineate where they're at with ideas and needs and ambitions and what the relationship means. Now, Sun in Aquarius, Moon, Mars, bleh. Sun in Aquarius, Mars in Taurus. This is someone for whom the Sun's getting closer to Aries now. Aries is the exaltation point of the Sun. So here, the person's got a little bit more energy and virility, and it's energized by the Uranus-y, even though Aquarius in Vedic theology is ruled by Saturn. So there's like an awareness of power plays, shall we say. The Aquarian person can be driven and just really hard and just likes to throw whatever their thoughts are out there unapologetically. And the Mars in Taurus here is square to the Sun. This is a square going on for sure. And so this square is here. These are both fixed energies. So this person can be very stubborn. And the stubbornness doesn't work quite as organically as it does with Capricorn and Sun in Capricorn, Mars in Taurus. This is a Sun in Aquarius person is stubborn about, let's say the Sun, the king of this person, wants to fix itself to things. It likes to be things that are familiar. But the things that are familiar to the Sun in Aquarius, they like to fix it to themes, like changing cultural items in the culture, in the market, trends. These people can be very business motivated and ambitious, or even musical, or like whatever kind of crazy things that Aquarius tends to be interested in. Philosophical. They like to have organizations with people, and they like to have a right-hand man. The Mars for this Aquarius reflects somebody who's probably who knows the Aquarius, the Mars in Taurus here. Let's say that the general is trying to get familiar. Mars is the general to the king, the Sun. So Mars is trying to help the Sun do what it wants to do. Mars in Taurus is inclined to get familiar with people so they can know about people, can know their likes and dislikes. They can get familiar and comfortable with them. And then that way the Sun in Aquarius can kind of be hard and delegate and tell people what they need to hear, tell a group. Sun in Aquarius is ambitious towards expressing itself amongst others in a group by saying, this is what I think we should do. Aquarius is a great leader, and this leadership is best expressed with Mars in Taurus's desire to be familiar with people. The only problem here is that the Mars in Taurus, again, wants people to be familiar, because that's what the general is doing. That's the general's skill here. Mars' skill is getting comfy with people. Then what happens here, because of the square, is that the Sun wants to tell all their friends, hey, I've got an idea for this community, this organization, what have you. And they can get frustrated because are they going to pick who's right for the job, which is what Sun in Aquarius wants to do. Sun in Aquarius, there's a dissonant thing happening here, because what the king is using to delegate is a familiarity with friends at a friend level. So they are either going to hurt their friends by the pushy ambition of the sun in Aquarius to use us all for the sake of something outside of ourselves. Aquarius is opposite Leo. Leo is like kind of inside. Aquarius is like for everybody. Let's all get, like, Aquarius loves to be loved for their ability to organize people together. And in order to do that, you got to be a bit tough. You got to tell people to do things that they might not be the best at. The Mars in Taurus here wants to develop connections with people based on friendship and familiarity and cool mutual vibes. And there's just a dissonance there, if you know what I mean, right? Because they're thinking like, am I telling these people who are my friends, am I going to be really hard with them and like tell them what I know that we all need to do in a driven way? And is that going to drive them away from me? And this might be something that they express in their sexuality and in their relationships as well. They want a lover, they want to be able to be familiar with their lover, but they also want to be able to tell them what we both need or where I want to go. I got something to do, and this person is driven and ambitious in this way to like do what Aquarius needs to do, and you're going to have to come along for the ride or don't come along at all. Although they will hope that you will, and they will shift. They will shift for you. They'll show you that they're listening, because the Mars in Taurus here needs that familiarity again, right? It's a funny dissonance that's going to happen between the Sun and the Mars. And with any sexual relationship these people build up. In bed, this can kind of come out with like a sort of like a desire, again, to be freewheeling and crazy and sort of think about sexy, even kinky things, but hoping that like you'll get through it. Because then the Mars in Taurus is like, oh, remember when we had that one period where we did that thing? That was weird, eh? I'm so glad that you stayed with me through that. It's like that Aquarius tests the resolve that Mars in Taurus tries to bring to them with their partners. The Aquarius sun tests what the Taurus familiarity is trying to get. That's my interpretation. Let's actually hear it from the book. Sun in Aquarius, Mars in Taurus. You're more solid and dependable than other Aquarians, and a long-term relationship appeals to you on many levels. Upfront and direct about your sexual impulses, you have no compunction about initiating daring and experimental lovemaking when the mood is upon you. Throwing a monkey wrench into the gearworks, Aquarius likes to do these funky sort of things. At your best, you are an exciting and innovative bedmate. Yet, despite your lack of regard for what society considers proper behavior, you're a genuine romantic and you need more from your lover than just sex. There is a desire in this person to get some kind of transcendental feeling of a deep sense of love. It's just coming from the nature of the Aquarius. Aquarius is a soul-driven thing. And Mars being in Taurus, this is Saturn and Venus coming together, being more than just the sun, being more than just Mars, being more than just ardent sexual passion. It's like they're glued in with the sense of a romantic sentimentality. That was a lot for that one. On to the next. Here we have Sun in Pisces, Mars in Taurus. Sun in Pisces is good because it's close to Aries. These two are sextile to each other, actually. Which can be a groovy sort of sextile happening here. Venus, which is the ruler of the Mars here, is exalted in Pisces, where the sun is. So the Mars in Taurus understands where the king is coming from. Mars being the general understands where the king, being the sun in Pisces, is coming from in its sexuality, in its vitality, in its urgency, in the way that it wants to live in the world and be seen with its lover and its partners. Sun in Pisces is right next door to Aries. This is one of the best places for the sun, really. Pisces being ruled by Jupiter. This person might have somewhat of a desire to be imaginative, to live in a narrative of being the knight in shining armor, or to be the cute little pillow princess that's just dying for her lover, there for her knight in shining armor. Or even if the sexual thing is reversed, or if this is a homosexual couple, this person might pick a gender, or they can be, anybody can be gender fluid. You can't let astrology define your gender or sexual orientation. But this might be a person who tends to pick one because of the nature of the Mars and Taurus, wanting to be familiar with some kind of modality. But the Pisces is very open to whatever the other partner is, feeling at what they are, and they'll be sensitive because the sun is close to Aries here. So the Pisces will be very sensitive to what the other person's sexual orientation and most erotic juiciness is. And if there's a soul connection, if the other person feels connected to their erotic through their soul with this particular regard, the Sun in Pisces person will feel all this and will kind of look for it in a way. And it's for themselves. That's the thing, is that the Sun is strong in Aries because it's doing what it knows is best for the nature of the spirit that's coming through. When it's in Libra, it's looking at the other person and trying to think, should I adjust myself to this? But when the Sun is close to Aries, it's noble. It's coming from its own sense of spirit. So the Sun in Pisces will read the aesthetic erotica of the other person and find and attract someone who vibes with their own. And they'll usually, they'll pick one. They'll pick whatever they are, and they'll find a yin to their yang. Because the Mars in Taurus wants to be familiar. The general wants to express the sun through a fixed earthy values, through a sensual sense of its familiar unfolding. They might even be stubborn about all these things in certain funny ways. Because Mars in Taurus, the Mars is debilitated in Cancer. So we got to consider always that this isn't Mars's juiciest, greatest energy. This could be a person who's languid and who loves to just set up an environment with their lover to languish the love of each other upon. It could even be indulgent in certain ways. Sun in Pisces, Mars in Taurus. A true romantic. You enjoy courting and being courted. And as long as you feel secure in a relationship, you are a wonderful, caring, considerate partner. However, when your sensitive feelings are hurt, you turn clingy and possessive. From the Mars in Taurus. For you, lovemaking is a total experience, and you expect the sex act to be physically and emotionally satisfying for both partners. Moreover, you project an extremely seductive air of mystery and vulnerability. Yet, despite your delicate sensibilities, there's nothing prissy about you per se, not necessarily. In the privacy of the bedroom, you're sensual and extremely uninhibited. When the lights turn off, you turn on. Definitely a very juicy fish vibe. It's like, fish can swim underwater, but they feel everything going on, even if it's in the dark. They might be a more sensual person than a visual person. depending, all things considered. And this seductive air of mystery and vulnerability is a very juicy sort of like thing, you know, like, And then the person comes and it's like, ooh, you're going to be my lovely person who's going to be with me. And that can turn into like a bestial sort of expressing the soul nature out in any way, really. So yeah, anyway, folks, that was my wrap on Mars and Taurus. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm going to try to have more of these videos coming for you soon. Take care.